Diane Keaton has died at the age of 79. This news has just broken in the United States. The Oscar-winning actress, known for her roles in Annie Hall and The First Wives Club, passing away in California.
The world of cinema felt a chill on the morning of October 11, 2025. One of its brightest lights, Diane Keaton, slipped away quietly in her Brentwood home at the age of 79. Her passing didn't just make headlines, it stopped people in their tracks. For half a century, she had been more than a name on a movie poster. She was a heartbeat of Hollywood. A woman who made imperfection luminous and vulnerability powerful. Through The Godfather, Annie Hall, and dozens of unforgettable moments on screen, she taught audiences that love could be messy, laughter could be brave, and solitude could still mean strength. Fans across the world felt the weight of her silence, a light that once filled cinemas, living rooms, and hearts had dimmed. As we remember her story tonight, I'd like to ask if Diane ever made you smile, or cry, or feel seen. Consider liking this video and subscribing. It's a simple way to honor a woman who gave so much of herself to the world. But to truly understand who she was, we must return to where it all began, not in the glow of fame, but in the quiet corners of her childhood.
Diane Keaton was born on January 5, 1946, beneath the sun of Los Angeles, a city obsessed with image. Her father, Jack Hall, was a civil engineer, steady and practical. Her mother, Dorothy Diane Keaton Hall, once wore a crown as Mrs. Los Angeles 1955, glowing with theatrical dreams that would never fully bloom. At home, appearances mattered. Dinner was formal. Laughter was saved for guests. Underneath the order was a silence so thick it shaped Diane's sense of the world. Years later, she said, "We didn't talk about feelings. We just lived inside them." She watched her mother's ambitions fade in slow motion, from bright lights to kitchen tiles, from applause to the clatter of dishes. At just 9 years old, she saw it clearly. This was not the life she wanted. "I will not live my mother's life," she silently promised herself. While other girls dreamed of husbands and fences, Diane dreamed of stages, scripts, and escape. Teachers called her stubborn. Classmates said she was odd. She wasn't broken, she was waking up. In 1966, 20-year-old Diane boarded a Greyhound bus with one suitcase, 2 dog-eared scripts, and a quiet fire in her chest. New York greeted her with winter's cruelty, thin walls, a coughing radiator, nights spent sleeping in her coat. Days were spent waiting in long audition lines. Nights she sang in smoke-filled basements for pocket change. Too tall, too strange, not the type, they told her, but she didn't stop. Fear became her engine. She pawned shoes for rent, walked instead of taking the subway, wrote by candlelight when the power went out. Her notebooks filled with words no one saw, letters to herself, to her mother, to a dream she refused to bury. Then came 1968, and everything shifted. A Broadway revival of Hair was looking for something real, not polished, not perfect. Diane auditioned barefoot, trembling but alive. The director whispered, "Don't change a thing." That night, under stage lights, the silence she had carried for years cracked open. For the first time, the world didn't just see her, it felt her. In 1972, she stepped into cinematic history as Kay Adams in The Godfather. Her performance was quiet but electric, earning her a place in Hollywood's pantheon. 5 years later came Annie Hall, a role so effortlessly honest it became a cultural touchstone. Her laugh, her turtlenecks, her vulnerability, they weren't costumes, they were her. At 31, she held an Oscar in her hands. And yet, when she returned home that night, staring at the statue in her kitchen, a quiet question lingered. Is this what it feels like to be seen? Fame brought pressure. Perfection became a shadow. She rewrote scenes alone in dressing rooms, worked until her hands shook, and drove through Los Angeles at night just to breathe. I thought success would make me whole, she said later, but maybe it just let me be broken in public. Behind the spotlight lived a love story that never found its ending. Diane met Al Pacino in 1971 on the set of The Godfather. She was 25. He was 31. It wasn't fiery or fast. It was quiet, the kind of love that seeps into your bones. They shared years of stolen moments, drives through Los Angeles with Sinatra on the radio, late nights cooking pasta, long silences that felt safe. She hoped for forever. He feared commitment. By 1990, during the Godfather Part 3 shoot in Rome, she gave her heart one last chance. Over dinner under golden light, she whispered, "Marriage or goodbye?" His silence was the answer. That night, she packed her bags without tears. Some love stories don't end with a storm. They end with quiet. Days later, her father collapsed. 2 heartbreaks arrived hand in hand. In therapy, she admitted, "I kept asking him to love me the way I loved him, but love doesn't always echo back." She would never marry. Instead, she poured everything back into her art and into a future she would build on her own. Her father, Jack Hall, was her anchor, the quiet man who waited outside auditions with a newspaper in hand. When a brain tumor took him, the silence he left behind nearly crushed her. She stopped answering calls. The house grew still. But Diane Keaton didn't disappear. Slowly, she began to build herself back from the rubble, not through romance, but through resilience. She learned that some lives aren't saved by someone arriving. They're rebuilt when no one does. In her 50s, when many stars stepped back from the screen, Diane stepped into motherhood. She adopted her daughter Dexter in 1996 and her son Duke 5 years later. "They saved me," she said. Her home filled with laughter, tree houses, and late-night talks. She found a love that stayed. No red carpets, no scripts, just family. In her final years, she lived quietly in Brentwood, tending her garden, walking barefoot through the morning dew, whispering to the trees, "You're still here. So am I." On the morning of October 11th, 2025, she was found in her favorite chair, a warm cup of tea beside her. No struggle, just stillness. The news broke at dawn. Within hours, her face was on every screen. Fans left flowers and turtlenecks at her gate. Al Pacino called her "my heart's quiet mirror." Meryl Streep wrote, "She made vulnerability heroic." Hollywood's golden age seemed to exhale as one. Across the country, people spoke her name as if mourning a friend. Acting students cried through her monologues. Strangers whispered, "She made me feel seen." At the time of her passing, Diane's net worth was estimated at over $100 million, a fortune she built entirely on her own. But for her, money wasn't a crown. It was a tool to preserve beauty. Her beloved Brentwood estate, worth nearly $30 million, was a living archive of her spirit. She restored homes, saved historic buildings, filled rooms with black and white photographs she took herself. To her children, she left a note, "Don't sell the garden. Let it grow wild. That's where I'll still be." Diane Keaton's legacy can't be measured in trophies. It lives in the quiet strength she gave to others. She showed women that imperfection can be power, that aging isn't an ending, and that some lights burn brightest when they stop trying to dazzle.
She gave to cancer research, preservation efforts, children's hospitals, not to be remembered, but to repair. She rebuilt what time tried to erase. And somewhere in Brentwood, Jasmine still brushes against her window, carrying her story on the wind. She didn't vanish. She became part of the light. If her story touched you today, let her legacy live on. Leave a small R.I.P. Diane Keaton in the comments below, not as a goodbye, but as a promise. Some stars never fade. They just change places.